Here we are.
I was going through some stuff in the bookcase behind me. I just threw the stuff back up there after I unpacked, and I was going through stuff in there, and I found when we made Best of Philly in 2020, the Ricky did.
I do not remember that.
We made Best of Philly for ways to cope during the pandemic, the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast.
Was it a numbered list? Or
Best of Philly is a Philly Mag thing they do every year. They'll do like a best. It's not like they're almost like they create a category to give it to somebody. Like there are restaurants, but it's the best restaurant for this, the best restaurant for that.
But we were the only. So we're the only way to cope during a pandemic.
Yes, that was pretty much it. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were there other podcasts, or were the?
I don't remember. I do remember I got an email every time you get some sort of award. You get an email for the next 18 months telling you that you can spend like $89.95 on a framed version of that award, you know?
Like when you run a marathon.
Yes. Yeah, dude, it's the exact same thing, which I never bought, but they did send us this. So
That's
Nice.
it's pretty cool in a, Best of Philly. I don't know if it's still as big a deal, but for a while when I was growing up, it was a big deal.
I mean, a little rude, it's a podcast hosted by two people. You send one of them a plaque.
Well, no, it's not a plaque. It's a piece of paper. Do you
well,
want
I could
one?
use that piece of paper.
Fine.
My mom could use that piece of paper.
Okay.
All right. Send it to Spike and my mom. There's a whole Ricky shrine in my parents' place.
Actually, since I don't have it framed, do you just want me to send it to your mom?
No, come on.
Okay.
Come on. My mom will email you saying the answer is yes.
Yeah.
I'll say, come on.
Well, if you want to, just send me an email. I'll send it to you. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Mom, it's Spike at rightstreakysanchez.com.
Spike at rightstreakysanchez.com. But if listener email, not Spike at rightstreakysanchez.com, rightstreakysanchez@gmail.com. That email is the lone clean email address I have. Mostly clean.
Spike at?
Yes.
Clean in what way?
Like no spam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just emails from my mom making requests.
Asking for our awards.
Yeah.
Let's do that again.
Take it
On
back.
today's show.
Wait, clean. I need it clean.
All right. Okay, here we go. On the show today, Shams thinks Joel Embiid doesn't know who leaked the team meeting. Quentin Grimes in the qualifying offer, and Jobs Pod Part 2, Spike's job. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS. Brought to you by Anthony Degli Obizzi, the official financial planner of the Ricky. Text Ricky to 484-471-4873. Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Get yours with the Process Pup patches at barkerbeds.com/Ricky. Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the process, 302-864-8643. And Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official canned cocktail of the Ricky. A reminder, subscribe to our writers, the Danny, AU, MOC. Get it all emailed to you absolutely for free. That way you don't miss anything. Just go to rightsrickysanchez.com/subscribe. Also a reminder, Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka is not free, but I would say it's worth every penny. Now, if I'm making a judgment, buying it at home is a little less expensive than buying it at the game, I'm going to say, for sure. But worth it in both places. Where else can you get something that tastes as perfect as Surfside does? Whatever version we're talking about. Green tea and vodka, lemonade and vodka, with only 100 calories in a serving, with only 2 grams of sugar, with no bubbles, because iced tea nor lemonade should have carbonation in it. Only Surfside, with the best logo in the game, by the way, so you look cool holding the can. Get it wherever you get your canned cocktails. You got to be 21. Please enjoy it responsibly. Any further questions, or if you can't find it near you, go to drinksurfside.com. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name, I say the name, I say the name.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Say the name. Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. Say the name.
Likes Tricky Sanchez forever.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with CJ and a guy who doesn't have any of our awards at his house. That is one Mike Levin.
I don't. I did just watch in the intro video. It's a great video. If you haven't seen the intro video, it's so good.
Yeah,
And
thanks.
things catch my eye every time I watch it. And the Josh Harris handshake is so funny.
It's the best.
But I don't think that we have given enough discussion to Josh immediately after realizing what he did wrong, putting both hands on his hips and looking away. It's so funny. It is so
Aikman's grin.
Aikman sees it all.
Yeah.
But God, that was Josh. Oh man. I it's funny because of how relatable it is. I can totally see myself doing it.
Yeah.
But man, what a video. It's so good.
And by the way, to have the missed handshake happen on TV, like on football, on national football.
I would never be seen from him again.
It's
Never.
So bad.
Never.
So bad. Before we get to Jobs Pod, I thought this was an interesting little clip. I actually don't know. It was Schefter and Shams. Maybe it was like a fucking insider summit or something.
I'm gonna need to restart my browser because I'm on a work laptop to share this clip. But
Wow.
I'll be right back.
He gets to be the host one time, and now he doesn't.
So are you leaving?
He'll come back.
I think my Chrome's gonna need a restart too.
I see it.
I don't know if audio is gonna show.
Do you just want me to play the audio through Bluetooth? Let's see what happens.
Tyrese Maxey
You hearing that?
essentially calling
Yep.
out Joel Embiid
Oh, cool.
in a team meeting, a players-only meeting, for being tardy and needing to show more accountability. And I wouldn't say I received backlash for that story, but I received a lot of, who gave you that? How did you hear that? Who was your source? And to me, those are the best stories, is when no one knows who the source is, but they're throwing guesses, and like it's always 99% wrong. Like I saw a quote Joel Embiid actually said, like, I know who the source is. I know who my main source was. I'd be stunned if he knows who that's. So it's like, it's always funny to get the reactions of that. But I think those are the best stories.
There we go.
for
That's
sure.
enough.
And
So I think it's interesting that he says he would be, now he obviously has to protect his sources.
He's so weird.
He is weird. And he's remarkably young, I think. I think he's, 29 or 30 or something like that.
He's so weird.
He is weird. The
Is that
thing
what
is,
Shams is? Oh, he's
It's
31.
unnerving.
well, there's two parts of the leak. There is, Embiid couldn't be that shocked because he knows who was in the room. Right? Like there's not that many people in the room.
Yeah.
I think though, what we could be experiencing here is maybe Shams, I've been saying it's Eric Gordon. Maybe Eric Gordon told somebody who told Shams, and then the actual leak is not the person in the room, which is why now by proxy, it would be whoever told that person.
Right.
And maybe that's who Joel Embiid knows. But the person who actually told Shams is, I don't think Eric Gordon texted Shams, is I guess my point, But I think he is the leaky part of the room, if that makes sense.
What do we know for sure that it was a players only meeting?
No, there were people other than players in there. I believe there were people other than players in the room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember when we asked Sixers Adam where he was standing during the shove? I would like to know everyone's
where he
alignment.
was.
And maybe Sixers Adam was peeing at the time.
Maybe Sixers Adam told Shams. Maybe he's the leak.
I think he probably just reported it himself. But maybe just
Sixers
wants to
Adam?
feed. Yeah, sure.
You think he wants that smoke?
I do. I think he would
Really?
want that smoke. Yeah.
Really? Okay. All right. Okay. Two other quick notes. Speaking of Shams, we'll go to that next. He reports, and it's public obviously now, but the NBA announced their Christmas Day 2025 schedule. And for the first time since 2020 or 2021, the Sixers are not on the Christmas Day schedule. What
Christmas
a gift.
is saved.
What a gift.
We can say Merry Christmas again.
Yes.
Because the Sixers are not involved.
Yep. I don't have to be at Val's family's house, like talking to everybody with one ear and watching the fucking game with the other. What a gift. The last season, obviously a disaster, but it did come with some positives, and this is one of the positives.
Oh my God. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
God. It's
Yeah.
just really nice. And we can just watch some of these games that are very good.
Maybe watch
I'm
football
gonna
if you want.
enjoy it.
Both
I'm
are-
going
yeah.
to enjoy it all.
Yep.
I'm not going to have the dread of the Sixers
No.
hanging over it like a pall the
Yep.
entire time.
Yeah,
I will say
we're
the Embiid thing, just the last Embiid thing.
Yeah.
It is so funny. Look, it's August, and
Mm-hmm.
that's as August as it gets. We have not heard any Joel playing update.
Oh
at
no,
all.
he's taking it slow, Mike. I don't know if
It's
that's
really-
the only
I-
thing we heard.
It's so funny. It's like the kind of thing where, you're at a workplace, and for a while you're like, hey, I think we could fix it, or like make things run more efficiently, or like there's ways that we can do it differently, do it this way or that. And then at a certain point you're like, nope, it's not going to change.
Yeah.
They don't want it to change. This is
Yep.
how it's going to be. And it feels like everyone in the Sixers organization is like, fuck it. Yeah,
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
This is what you want? Yeah, we just won't say anything. We'll see you guys in a few months.
The job thing is actually a good thing. Or the add a job thing. Like that, there's one thing specifically at WFAN is like they all use paper to read their commercials off of, like their live commercials. And I got there and I was like, why are we using paper? And like I was like, one of the things we're gonna get rid of is fucking paper. I was there for 3 years, buddy. Paper's still there.
Paper stays. Paper
Yep.
outlasted you.
They won.
Even the new hosts.
Yeah, everybody. Yeah.
Wow.
Not everything's on paper, but it's funny, like the Daryl Morey, the ping pong thing for the Battier Foundation. It's like, it's a good cause, whatever. But like, we know Daryl's playing ping pong. Like, why do we not know if Joel Embiid's playing basketball?
Yes, I guess reportedly Daryl is playing more ping pong than Joel is playing basketball.
At least of the reports we have.
Of the
right?
reports we have from
Yeah.
sourced information,
Yeah.
from available info.
And then finally, in a recent People's Insider update from Jake Fisher, noting some NBA buzz that Quentin Grimes could be considering taking the qualifying offer. I think it would be a bummer for the team. It would probably not work out very well for Quentin Grimes either. So my guess is that it doesn't happen, but that would be.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Rich Hoffman in his newsletter reminded me of the Nerlens situation.
Yes, went very poorly. Passed up 470, I think.
4 years, $70 million, took the qualifying offer instead, and then for the rest of his career, I think made $12 million total, and then is suing or did sue Rich Paul.
Sued Clutch. Yeah.
It's hard to pass up that kind of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Like if there's a difference between like, if the qualifying offer is what, 8.7, isn't that what it was? Or
Yes.
and the Sixers are offering like 9 a year.
Yeah,
or
even if
10
they're
a year?
lowballing him.
That's low. I mean, like if it's 9 or 10 a year, that's quite low. And it's
No,
like,
I'm saying even if they're offering him 336, which would be a low ball, it's still like you're gonna pass up $36 million to play for a team that, by the way, like there's a lot of guards on the team and they're all young. It just seems like a tough putt.
Yeah, I would. If I'm Quentin Grimes and I believe in myself, I would get at least 2 or 3 years.
Yep.
And if
It's
I'm
only
the
25.
and if I'm the Sixers, I would make sure that my offer would not drive him to take the qualifying offer.
Yes.
Like that would be bad. It'd be bad for everybody. You want this guy in your team control. If he takes the qualifying offer, there's essentially a 0% chance of him being with the Sixers after this year.
Yeah.
And
there's a friction all year.
there's a friction all year. We got enough friction. We got plenty of friction.
He's got a no trade clause, by the way, if he signs the qualifying offer.
Yeah. It's just I'm not a negotiator. I am bad at negotiating. This is not a strength of mine. But you definitely don't want the outcome to be he takes the qualifying offer, you have very little incentive to play him all year. Eventually he asks for a trade and it just like ends in a weird way. Like he had a really, really nice season last year. Maybe you don't believe it fully that this is the player he could be in a team where he's not like the focal point, which is fine. Maybe you're like down on him more than consensus, which is fine, or more than he is himself, which is fine. But there's a chance there's a chance he just took a leap. And if he takes this leap and then you lowball him and he takes a qualifying offer, like that's a really, really bad outcome for the Sixers, both for the team's future and for like what they can get. Even if they don't believe him, still sign him to a contract and then trade him to somebody who really believes in him, and then you've like maximized that value.
Yeah, I don't think it'll happen.
I don't think it'll happen either, but I think it would be like a near disaster if it did. The one good thing that came of last year.
Yes.
Then it would just be Janai Broom getting that pick at the deadline in the Caleb Martin deal.
By the way, watch this. Now that would be a bad financial outcome.
Here we go.
If you want a good financial outcome, come on. Anthony Degli Obizzi can help you plan for your future. Quite honestly, he does it for me. So I have personal experience. I didn't start saving for retirement and emergency fund and all that to my late 30s. I actually made a mistake. I'm glad I have been able to put myself in a better position. You're never too early to start doing it. And if you are like me or Mike, or maybe CJ probably knows more about it. I bet CJ actually knows more about it. You probably like need some help to get from point A to point B, to feel confident about where your investments are, being able to retire. Am I putting enough away? All that sort of stuff. Anthony can help you with that. And he is perfect in that one of my fears before I started putting money away was like, I don't have enough money to put away, right? Like I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. But Anthony also wants you to be able to live your life and also feel comfortable about your future. Send him a text. Text the word Ricky to 484-471-4873. That is text Ricky to 484-471-4873. You might ask, what does this encompass? Financial planning. It's basically everything. Like he could be your one-stop shop for like any money thing, whether it is a retirement planning, whether it's are my 401k investments done right? Am I maxing out this? Should I be maxing out that? Should I move this money over here? Blah, 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 blah. And the good thing with Anthony is you can be as involved as you want to be. He will let you bother him every day if you want. I bother him probably once a quarter. It comes through, tells us how we're doing. I feel confident about it. I move on. It's just one thing to check off the box, or a box to check that you don't have to worry about anymore. He is at Menastra and Associates in Delaware County, Menastra Financial Group, in Delaware County. You can meet with him over Zoom. I mostly just talk to him on the phone. I think once a year we go in there to the place. You don't have to ever go in there if you want to. What I want you to do, just set up a conversation. Doesn't cost you anything, of course, no obligation whatsoever. Text Ricky to 484-471-4873. That is Ricky to 484-471-4873. That is Anthony, the official financial planner of the Ricky. Jobs pod.
I will say we did my job last pod. We will not be doing my job today, but there was someone sent me the Ricky Reddit. Someone asked a question: do Mike and his writing partner really share a salary?
Yes,
and
there's a lot of conversation
about so
that.
Funny.
Yeah,
I sent that to several writing teams that I work with. It is really making the rounds. I appreciate it. This is really, really good, including the writers of Naked Gun, Dan and Doug, our writing team, splitting a salary. That's
yeah. So the I think it's worth. So if you missed the Mike, so Mike is a comedy writer for TV and movies now too as well, but. We did the Mike job pod on the last pod. If you missed it, you should go catch up on it. But Mike writes with a partner and they come in as a team. And one of the things you said is that is one salary slot basically for whoever is hiring you guys. And the Ricky Reddit was like, wait a minute. Couldn't Mike just get all of it if he went in himself? And how, just before we get to the my job thing, how common would you say like a team thing is? Is it like half the writers? Is it?
No, I think I said last pod it was like 20, maybe 25%, something like that. Okay. Usually there's like one or two writing teams per staff.
Okay.
I would say, but it is common. I would say it is up to your agents and managers, and it's up to our agents and managers to negotiate a better deal. And sometimes it happens, and sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, that's the deal. You get more jobs because we're a team, but then you have to split a salary.
It is. Yeah, it was a very popular topic. On the
I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
Me and Alyssa were reading the comments last night and cracking up. It was really very funny.
But generally speaking, the salaries are scaled to the level of two people working that job, right? Like you're not getting a single person salary split between two people, which I think some people
we are.
No, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
No, but like it's a higher amount.
Yes,
for
because
two
of the job. Are you asking because of like the job that we have that we get paid well and so we can split a salary, or are you asking because we're two people they're giving us more money?
Like if you get on a
Get in the comments,
show,
you got to ask.
If you get on a show that is doing well and it's like a good job for you, you're getting paid a fair amount.
Yeah,
essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a well paying. We would if me and Pat split on a show, which happens sometimes to writing teams, they let you say, okay, you've been here long enough, like you guys are doing the work of two people, we'll let you split. Then we would make twice as much each.
So you're not being exploited in any sense by this.
A little bit.
Okay.
This is constantly in guild negotiations of like trying to. Now it's the situation in the last union agreement where, because previously, like how much health insurance you get, how much you qualify for health insurance, let's say, depends on the money that you're putting in, and so writing teams are by nature disadvantaged by that. So we have to work twice as much as someone else would have to work. For years that was the case, and then only recently has it been like, okay, even if we're a writing team, we are putting the guild health insurance like counts us for as two people, even if we're not getting paid as two people. But yeah, I mean the minimums are like whatever they are for how much for each level, and those are the same minimums for if you're a writing team. So you just cut it in half. So if you get paid scale, that's
scale in half.
That's scale in half. Yeah. Very funny comments though. I liked them. Let's talk about Spike.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been working for a long time. I'm 49. I've been working since I was 21. So I will, without any reasons, I will just go through what I did. Freshman year was at USC, went in undeclared, took a journalism class.
Well, wait, what was your first job?
My first job of all time?
Yeah.
Was working at Wawa and then Sunoco.
Okay. What'd you do at Wawa?
Just a normal. So I was 16 at the time. I guess I couldn't work the register. I wasn't old enough. So I worked in the cold box mostly and fixing like inventory and then sometimes I'd make sandwiches.
You did?
Yes.
Were you good at?
And by the way, we were one of the only Wawas with a grill, so we made cheesesteaks at the Wawa. That Wawa doesn't exist anymore. If you're in that area, it was the one by Route 1 and 452 next to the Lima Pharmacy.
Were you good at making the sandwiches?
That's pretty good. I cut my finger once, blood shot everywhere.
No, during a sandwich?
During the lunch rush, and everybody was like, "I want a new sandwich. I want a new sandwich. I want a new sandwich." And I'm scared of stitches, so I just went into the cold box and wrapped it up like real tight and sat there and just waited for the blood to stop.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's your first job.
Yeah. And then I worked at Sunoco for like 3 years. I worked every shift, overnights, mornings.
Wow.
Yeah. So I went to USC, took a journalism class, and there was an earthquake. So I transferred to Syracuse.
You left because of an earthquake?
It fucked me up. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It wasn't even a big one, but it was enough to fuck me up.
Wow.
Did you know what you wanted to do going into college originally?
No, I had no idea. So then I got to Syracuse. And I started working at the campus radio station, one of three, eventually with Mike's brother. And I thought I wanted to do sports, but all of the sports fucking guys at Syracuse are insufferably annoying. So I ended up doing it. It was a music station that just did sports on Saturday morning. Mm-hmm. So there was like 1 hour music shift that they couldn't fill. And I did that. And it turned out I actually enjoyed that. So my first job out of college was late night DJ at WYSP. Rock station's not there anymore. Mm-hmm. My next job was music director at WYSP. My next job was assistant program director and music director at Q101 in Chicago, which is an alternative station. Mm-hmm. My next job after that was assistant program director and midday host at WYSP, went back to Philly. Then that station went off the air because they put WIP, which was only at AM at the time, on FM. They kept some people. They did not find me valuable enough to keep, so I was unemployed, which is when I started doing podcasts.
What year is that?
That is 2011.
Okay.
2011.
Because when I was on, you started at WIP we started at WIP.
Yes, we started WIP. I actually did podcast with, and by the way, they're all on the feed, the beginning of the Ricky feed, all of them, like my podcast with Pat Gallen and all that kind of stuff. That was the beginning of that feed. I was at WIP when you started. Yeah. So I had a choice after I was unemployed to go. I actually could have worked for Nikki Sixx, who was in Motley Crue, had this national radio show. I could go work for that and stay with music, or instead stay in Philadelphia. And I joined WIP, but also KYW News Radio and CBS3. So I ran the website, ran social media, and did one show per week.
When you're unemployed podcasting,
yes.
What are those numbers like? Like, are you monetizing this in any way?
No. My goal was, my last year in music radio, I had gotten bored of music radio, and I started writing sports stuff on a blog. That's actually, there's a Sixers blog, it's up there somewhere, called They Gave Me a Press Pass. And what happened was I wanted to go to a Sixers game and write about it, and Mike Preston gave me a full season pass instead of a game pass. So I just started writing. It was the what's his name? The Eddie Jordan year. And so then what I did was, when I got fired, instead of trying to find a job specifically, spikeeskin.com was the website, and it had all these different people like writing, all for free. But I didn't make any money on it, and I was podcasting as well. So then I went back to WIP, doing that sort of like combo job. The program director left. I became program director there. Then it was sort of like fake program director because there was somebody above me. If you Google him, there were some stories about him recently. Didn't turn out real well for him. Wow. They actually got rid of him. I advanced to be really in charge of WIP.
What a tease.
We made a lot of changes, got rid of some people, hired some people, had a lot of success. Then I got hired to be vice president of programming at WFAN and CBS Sports Radio in New York, same company. And then last April, I took a job back in Philly to be the afternoon show host, which is where I am now.
And then the Sixers had last season. And
yes.
Whose fault was that, do we think?
All tied together. Tied together.
Feels like it was.
Yeah.
I want to know how did you pick the radio name Spike? And what were the runner-ups? We've talked about you picking the name, but I've never heard any other alternatives.
So I don't remember any runner-ups. I also want to be clear. Everything that happened before 30 is very blurry to me. And it's not because I was drinking or doing drugs or anything. I just don't talk about it all that much, so I don't remember it very much. What I remember in choosing the name was our program director. I'm sorry, Rebel. There's a garage door guy here, and my dogs are going crazy if you hear it. I had a college program director named Harry Waring at Z89 in Syracuse. Harry, I think, still works in radio on Long Island, actually. And Harry told me, I was doing sports and music at the time. I was just Brett Eskin when I did sports. When I did music, he told me I needed a different name, even though I was the same person on the radio station. At the time, my hair, this was 95 or whatever, 96, was bleached and like spiked up. Mm-hmm. And where I would get my hair bleached, the girl who wrote my name in, the receptionist, because of how my hair was in, would just write Spike in, even though my name was Brett. So when he told me I didn't have any nicknames, I just used that. And I remembered that I noticed that people remembered that very quickly and they didn't remember Brett. So I just kept using it. And until after I got fired and came back and worked for KYW News Radio and all that, I never even used the last name. It was just Spike. It was on my business cards. It was like all that kind of stuff. So it was just Spike. It wasn't Spike Eskin until KYW. Yeah.
Do you wish that you had chosen a different name?
No. Yeah, I still don't, when I think to myself, I still think, everybody calls me that, but my mom, my dad, and my wife. And one person that works at WIP, Maureen, who was there when I was an intern, she still calls me Brett, but she can. I don't think of myself, in my head when I think my name, I still think Brett, but it sort of works and everybody remembers it. So it's silly, but like it's not so silly. At least there's some people named Spike.
Well, it's a silly kind of reason to
Yes.
be named that when in the 90s and for it to stick.
Yes.
I guess that's all nicknames. There's a dumb reason that you call
Yeah.
somebody something when they had like one hot dog once and they're
Yes.
like, you're hot dog now.
You're a hot dog. Yeah.
What do you enjoy more, and what are you better at between being a program director and a host?
That is a good question. I enjoyed both of them the most when I was doing them, I guess. I think like, I think I'm more natural at being a host. Like I'm more natural at being creative. When I was program director, I think I was good at it only because the people that worked for me seemed to get better and enjoyed me doing it. And we had success. So I feel like I was probably good at it. But when I was program director, I was thinking about everything I was doing all the time in terms of like, I wasn't lying, but it felt like I was acting. It's sort of like when I'm in public, when we're at a Ricky event or something, I think about what I'm doing all the time. It's not natural for me to be like extroverted or whatever. And as a manager, I sort of had to, I guess, be more calm. It made me like a more calm person. I'm glad I did it. It made me more reasonable. I know how to deal with people better, all of those sorts of things. And I found a lot of value in people getting better at their jobs and becoming happier and more fulfilled. That was really cool. But at the end of the day, like one of the reasons I decided to come back and do the show is that it's really hard because it's not natural to me. So I would say I was pretty burnt out by the end of it. And at least at this point, I don't think I would ever want to do it again. I'm able to use those skills as a host. A host is just more fun because it feels like I am naturally creative and it's an opportunity to be creative. So, but I really, really like being program director. But I think I probably like being a host more.
So you felt more fake driving into work being program director than when you have to be more public facing?
Well, to be honest, I sort of feel there's something natural about, okay, let's see if I can split this. There's something natural to me about the process and mechanics of doing the show that feels very natural to me. The meeting feels natural. Doing the show feels natural. Same thing with this. I have a really good time when I'm doing it. The fact that it's public facing, radio is perfect because you're not on a stage. There's nobody there. Mm-hmm. So like there's something very, very unnatural to me about being on a stage in front of people. But radio, or even podcasting, there's a separation between you and where the audience is. So it doesn't feel like performing to me. It just feels like doing something, I guess. So yeah, I guess I felt more fake driving to work as a program director than I do as a show host. But I feel very fake when we were doing the show in front of people.
Sure.
Yeah.
What are you what the difference between what you're driving in or going into work thinking about as a program director versus as a host, like mentality wise?
So that is probably the best difference between being a host and being a program director. A program director, what the job became eventually was a constant state of worrying about other people fucking up. Like the good parts of program director, the creative meetings, the talent evolution, all that kind of stuff, 10 out of 10, wouldn't change a thing. But that's like 20% of the job. 80% of the job is an email that you're going to have to deal with, a salesperson who's not listening. Your boss asked you to do something that you have to do because he's your boss and you love him, but doesn't really feel like part of what your job should be. So there was a constant state of anxiety because I never felt like I could catch up to anything. Whereas a show host driving to work, I'm just thinking about the show. 100% of the time. I'm just thinking about like it never leaves your brain. So I'm always thinking about the show all the time. But I guess the difference would be I enjoy thinking about the show all the time. I don't enjoy always thinking about, fuck, I have 400 more emails than I had yesterday. I can't even, if you're a manager in like a regular company, the amount of emails you get is psychotic. It should be your whole job, just answering emails. Rice to Ricky Sanchez podcast brought to you by Barker Therapeutic Dog Beds. Love Barker. Love what Barker dog beds. It's harder transition. to go from just talking about the Sixers.
I was going to say I'm in a constant state of anxiety for all the dogs not sleeping on a Barker dog bed.
There you go. Luckily, Rebel sleeps on a Barker. Luckily, Scotchy sleeps on a Barker. Go to barkerbeds.com/Ricky. I say luckily because they are both happier and healthier because of it. You say, how could a bed be that way? Well, I ask you as a human, if you slept on a bed that did not support your joints, if you slept on a bed that was not supportive, would you be less happy and less healthy? Answer, I think, quite frankly, is yes. Luckily, you can go buy yourself a new bed. Your dog cannot. Your dog doesn't have a credit card. Your dog doesn't have the internet. You do. Barker therapeutic dog beds were engineered by experts to support your dog's joints so they're happier and healthier. It's just that simple. They were the first ones to do it. Penn Vet did a study showing that it's all true. I think Rebel is a good example. He's 11 years old, still runs around like a lunatic. He's been sleeping on a Barker for most of his life. Go to barkerbeds.com/Ricky. You get the Process Pup patches that you can put on the bed if you'd like. Stickers as well. You send us a picture of the dog. Become a Process Pup forever. But most importantly, it's good that you get that stuff. Most importantly, you get a dog that is healthier as they get older, developing arthritis as dogs tend to do, just like humans do, the effects of which will be less strong because you've given your dog this advantage. Come in all sizes, from tiny little ones, Barker Jr., to the really, really big ones. They have the ones for travel that fold up. They have ones that go in a crate. They have different colors. They have headrest, not headrest. It's worth checking out. Worth the investment. barkerbeds.com/Ricky. 10-year warranty. The foam doesn't flatten or they replace it for free. Made 100% here in the USA. Barker dog beds. All right. What's next?
So you had your title at WIP being program director versus VP of programming at the Fan. Is that same job scaled up, bigger station, more responsibility, or is there differences in the day-to-day?
So of that point, I would say no differences in day-to-day, just a bigger job with bigger responsibilities. I was over two stations at one point in Philly too, but the CBS Sports Radio is a network. So it's just a bigger job. Only before I had that job, only one person had ever had that job. He had had the job for more than 30 years, Mark Chernoff. So I was only the second person to have that WFAN job. And I think what had happened was he went from program director to VP and he exited it. And so whoever was coming in just had VP. I also had another job in that I was I was format vice president for Odyssey, which meant that all of our sports stations, like if one of the stations was in need of help or doing a research project or something, I would be involved in that. And I would sort of be the go-between between corporate and those program directors at our other stations. So corporate would talk to me about some initiative we're trying to do. I would tell them good idea, bad idea. They would tell me we have to do it anyway. And then I would deliver that news and the reasoning to the other program directors. So I would say just the scale of the job is bigger. WFAN's a big, they're both very, very big. WFAN, because it's in New York and the revenue associated with it is a big, very big property. But I think it's probably more because the person who left before me had the VP title.
What is the pre-show meeting? Who runs it? How many people are there? Does it get contentious? Who leaks the information? Who's the Eric Gordon of the pre-show meeting?
So there's a pre-show meeting at 11 with me and Jack on the phone. And
is this the case for no matter what time your show is? Like if your show is from like 2 to 6 in the morning, like in the middle of the night, like there's the pre-show would happen at like 1 a.m. or whatever. So
what I would say is everybody does their shows differently. I can only account for what we do. Like, so morning show meetings a lot of times happen the day before because they're up preparing it. You know, they start at 6, so they're up at 3:30, but can't really prepare the same way. And it's not really effective because nothing's happened in those hours that you were sleeping. So I can only speak for ours. The way that ours works is I talk to Jack at 11 a.m. every day and sort of work through the ideas that I've been thinking. I get up about 6:30. The first thing I do is maybe 45 minutes or an hour of ideas that I have and stories that I'm interested in that we could talk about. I try to
you guys
suss
are on
out
Monday to Friday?
Yes.
Every day. Wow.
Every day. Yeah. 2 to 6. So then I talk to Jack at 11 about the big picture ideas, and he helps me. Jack. So I hired Jack, and I would say that one of the reasons that it was so attractive to take the job, both Ike and Jack I've known for a very long time, but Jack I hired and sort of knows exactly how my brain works. So he does a very, very good job. He's not just a good host, but he does a very, very good job of sort of sharpening up whatever I think my ideas are and picking out the best ones. So then at 1, that's when our official show meeting happens. It is me, Jack, our producer and host, Ike, Rod Lakin, our program director, sits in on there, and Justin, who is our video guy, sits in on there. The primary voices are just me, Jack, and Ike. And I sort of say, we sort of go around, talk about what I would say a show is sort of based on, there is a foundational idea that we hope is a good enough topic for the start of the show and to fill in the blanks of the show, and then other things on top of it that we want to talk about, sort of laying on top of it. So the biggest thing is the foundational idea, and it's gotten contentious occasionally, but I'd say that we have a pretty healthy best idea wins sort of thing. So like sometimes I'll think, Ike's been on the air at WIP for 18 years, has a better sense of how people will react to things than I will. I would say mine's pretty good, but his is much better. So a lot of times I'll come in and I'm thinking we go with this. And he'll say, people don't really care about that right now. He's like, maybe you care about it, but everybody else doesn't. Mm-hmm. And so we'll shift to something else. So I'd say
but like people reacting, are you judging that exclusively by the calls?
No, it's everything. I mean, like, so the goal isn't, I would say the goal, it would be very, very easy to do a show just to get people to call. Yeah. That's not the goal. Yeah. Like you could come up, we could do the same Donovan McNabb show every day and we would have a full board. That's not the goal. Yeah. The goal is to do something interesting that is compelling enough for people to want to talk to you about. So like, I guess I think there's a misperception that we are doing things to divide or lying or something to be divisive. The truth is if everybody agrees on a topic, there's no conversation to be had really. And the goal is to have a conversation, right? So like what you want to do is sometimes we're just so happy that we come in and we talk about that we're happy. We talk about all the good things that happen day after an Eagles win. Mm-hmm. There's not a lot. Now, the second day will be like, well, this went wrong. So what do we do about this or something like that? So I guess the goal is to find something that is compelling and
but how are you gauging it, I guess is my...
How am I gauging the compelling?
If it's not by the calls.
So I would say it's a combination of things. I'll put it this way. Maybe this makes sense. Just because you get calls doesn't make it good.
Sure.
But if you do a thing that you think people will engage with and they don't engage with it, then that's a bad sign. Mm-hmm. So sometimes we'll do topics where we'll say, this is just for us. We don't care if anybody calls, whatever. We know this is going to be compelling just to have people listen to us talk about it. But sometimes we want to have a conversation. And it's sort of like, if nobody wants to have the conversation about it, that is a bad thing. So we have a few things. We're live on YouTube, so YouTube chat is there too. There's calls, there's that. We have a text line, there's that. And then there's social media. And then you just sort of feel whether it works or not.
So it's active response. And yes. Then just the sense of like...
The feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think there are some times where we'll go through a first segment and it'll be something that Ike and I specifically disagree on or something. And sometimes, by the way, we don't disagree on it. Sometimes it's one person that thinks something specifically and another person doesn't really feel one way or the other and just sort of questioning them on it and trying to work through it. Mm-hmm. But I think at the end of a segment, regardless of what the calls are, if it feels good, it was good. And it usually doesn't happen that you feel that it worked and nobody else thought it worked. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just interesting because, I mean, the kind of person, some people might just watch a podcast, listen to the radio, watch a TV show, whatever, and just never say anything publicly about it. Never engage with it.
Yep. That's when you just have to trust your gut and trust the ratings.
Yeah.
I guess, you just have to, we've all been doing this like a really long time. I guess like that is the the difference in how we think about it, and I think the perception of how some people think about it, I think the perception is we're just doing things to get people to call. The answer to that is that would be much easier than what we're trying to do. I can get people to call about, there are 5 topics I could get people to call about all the time, and we don't do it. And then there's sometimes we just want to do something that is fun and silly, that is engaging, that people can just laugh with. I think the other thing we've learned is that in Philly, people only care about Philly sports, and sometimes there's not enough to talk about. So if we can just be fun and have a good time, that ends up being what people are happy with too.
You have been doing this a long time, and I'm sure you've seen a wide array of how things have developed over time. Podcasting is much bigger today than it was 10 years ago, than it was 20 years ago. I'm curious, how different is it, radio, now from when you started? And specifically, are there trends in radio that you like and or dislike? Like other stations doing certain things on air that you're like, this is dumb, I don't like this, or things you're like, oh yeah, we should try this because it's working in the market somehow?
So the podcasting, I think a lot of people focus on that with like TV or radio and say, oh, this new thing is this, so that thing is dead or whatever. But I think what has happened over time is everything has just sort of flattened out a little bit, and nothing is quite as popular as it was 25 years ago. No one popular thing is as popular as it was 25 years ago. So I actually think what's happened with podcasting and streaming, at least with sports radio, I'm not speaking for music radio, I'm speaking for sports radio, in the fact that we are streaming on every app, all of our shows are podcasts, and we're live on YouTube. So there has been sort of oh no, podcasts are going to be this, streaming's going to be this, to everybody's on the same device anyway at this point. So whatever advantage we had that we were losing is gone. But every advantage that podcasts and streaming had that wasn't a radio station is now gone, because we're all in the same place. So it's really just best content wins now. So I think as it's evolved, sports radio specifically, I think like sports radio, news talk radio, all those sorts of things that create unduplicated things are in a fine place. I also think it's very hard. I'm trying to think trends in what we do. It's very, very different in every city. I would say if you listen to sports radio in San Francisco or Dallas or Chicago or Philly, they all sound different. It used to be, so Mike, you brought up calls. It used to be where you would just walk in and the phone lines would be full of people waiting to talk about whatever the fuck you wanted to talk about. And it would be tens of thousands of people that wanted to call. It doesn't really exist like that anymore. So because people don't make phone calls like that anymore, it's not really the same thing. So I think you have to frame all of that a different way, and we probably take fewer phone calls now than we would have if we were doing the show 20 years ago. But I think the interaction is good, and I think hearing people is good. They're also very funny. Hearing Philly accents funny. So trends, I guess I don't know. Being on YouTube is different, Being live video is different. I'm glad that we had the pod and we did it before we ever had to do it on the radio show. I don't know. I think the biggest battle that like sports radio would have against the other things you're talking about is that the infrastructure we have is more expensive than the Ricky. Like the WIP infrastructure is more expensive than a podcast infrastructure, largely if you're doing it the right way. But we're there 24/7 and we're hyper local, which is very difficult to do without spending that money on it. So our biggest benefit and our disadvantage are probably tied together in a way.
Do you think it makes the infrastructure being that big? Do you think it makes a material difference in the quality? I mean, it's just such a different thing, obviously, than any fucking jabronis can be doing what we're doing, and there's professionals involved in the other thing. But like that output, like what the product is, do you feel like the bigger infrastructure makes a difference?
Well, I mean, not having to do everything, like having salespeople sell,
for sure,
and marketing people market and host. Like, I would say one of the advantages we've had with the pod is the fact that I did radio. So I understand like the sales and marketing end of it, but most podcasts don't.
Somebody asked me like podcast business questions yesterday, and I was like,
Right.
I don't think I'm the guy to talk to.
And by the way, most of the radio infrastructure is a lot smaller than it was 20 years ago. Yeah, I think it provides serious value. I think it does. I think sometimes it can create probably a hurdle or two, but I think it does provide value. And by the way, I think you could think the same thing about your job,
Totally.
like a funded.
We deal with that stuff versus like
Yeah.
someone just like, holding up a phone and doing TikToks to their
Yeah.
camera by themselves.
Yeah. And by the way, some of those TikTok people are fucking great and
Yeah.
they'll become millionaires. Most of them won't. So I also think there's like a stamp that people sort of have a generalized trust in you if you are part of an established brand that they've listened to or watched or whatever before. Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the process. As I've mentioned before, Ksebe now on WIP, which is wild to be talking about him on WIP as well, spelling his name over and over and over again. Adam Ksebe is our official realtor. And I want to say, before I get into the specifics of Ksebe, is that if you don't have a realtor, whether it's in Delaware or not, your first stop should be Adam. He's so good at what he does, and he has so many contacts. And like, even though he can't help you buy a house directly in New Jersey or PA or New York or wherever it is, he knows people everywhere. So if your first stop is Ksebe, he can refer you over to one of those people. What he does is he talks to you first, he interviews them, and he finds the best person for you. So I think that is something he doesn't have to do that he does for the Ricky community that I think is really helpful. His cell is 302-864-8643 or adam@processrealtor.com. But where he really shines is Delaware beaches. If you've never been, if you've been a Jersey Shore person your whole life, which a lot of the people in our area are, Delaware is excellent and only getting better. Great towns in Delaware. Some huge advantages. The restaurants, and this is inarguable, the restaurants at Delaware beaches are much better than Jersey. It's not even close.
Wow.
I'm being honest with you. There's two kinds of restaurants at the Jersey Shore. There's the Italian restaurant and the seafood restaurant. That's it. Delaware, Rehoboth, Lewis, Bethany, much better restaurants. The property taxes in Delaware are some of the lowest in the country, whereas Jersey is some of the highest in the country. So what you do is you go to Adam and you're like, well, it's a tough market. I'm not going to be able to find a house. Adam will help you find a house. He's done it for a bunch of Ricky listeners. He will do it. Then what you can do to help you afford it is you rent out your rental property for a lot of the summer. They pay your mortgage, and then you have your own place to go to when you want to, and it's an investment as well. When it's time, Adam Ksebe, based out of Long and Foster in Bethany Beach, is your guy. 302-864-8643 or adam@processrealtor.com.
We should talk about it. I think you do a good job, maybe probably better than when you were younger, and maybe you'll speak on this, but of brushing off the like born on third base stuff, right?
Yes.
Did you ever think like legitimately earlier on that you don't want to do the career that you did because of the allegations that would not, but like the shit that you would get for it, basically?
Yeah. It is funny that I actively went into music instead of sports, didn't use my last name, ended up doing the exact same job my dad did.
Yeah.
Like, I would say that I didn't actively avoid it because of it, but I didn't want any part of it. Mm-hmm. Like, there were a billion advantages growing up, like, as my dad's son. Like, first of all, he did well. I don't have college loans, right? Like, I mean, that's great. I got to meet Mike Schmidt and Charles Barkley and go to the Hall of Fame, and was at the 80 World Series when I was 4, when I was at the 83 World Series when I was 7. All of these things were great. But he was pretty polarizing, and it did kind of suck to have a half of your friends' dads fucking hate your dad, even if you listen to him.
Yeah.
So I guess I just didn't want, I didn't want either. Like, I didn't really want the positives that came along with it as an adult, and I didn't want any of the negatives that came along with it. But But I think I've gotten to a place where when people say it to me now, it sort of means that it usually happens in the middle of some sort of debate about something, like about sports. It usually means that they don't have anything left to say and they're sort of cheating and going that way. So it frustrates me when people do it, not because I think it's true, but because it's annoying. I've gotten better at it just because I have imposter syndrome. I think most people do. I don't. However, at this point, I've succeeded enough in my career to sort of have a general understanding that if I wasn't good at it, I probably still wouldn't be doing it, and people wouldn't want to work with me. So, but I did actively try to avoid it because I just didn't want any part of it. And still to this day, by the way, I'm 49 years old. Like I still deal with it a good bit now.
You're 40. When do you turn 50?
A year from now.
Okay, your birthday was just a couple of weeks ago. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna have to be an event.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Spike. Yeah. The oldest podcasters.
Yeah.
We've been doing it for long enough that we have become the oldest. Mark Maron is leaving, and now it's us.
Now it's us. Yeah.
Do you have an all-time favorite day on air?
Well, so I've only been really seriously on air as a sports talk host for a year and 3 months. Like I did it for 4 months with Josh Ennis as like the third guy. I would say the most notable was I was on the air the day after 9/11. So the rock station we were on, what we did was after 9/11, we went late at night, we would air KYW News Radio, and during the day we would just talk to people. I was, 25, pretty unprepared for it, but people still bring those days up. I don't remember them, but I remember doing it, I guess. Favorite day on air.
It'd be very funny if you said the day after 9/11 was your favorite day on air.
Yeah. We've had I guess there's not one that pops into mind. I think that the answer should be, the other notable day was the last day of WISP. I was the last host on the air before they turned it into sports, before WIP came on. And Howard Stern was like I'd never met him, but I grew up listening to him. And his voice hadn't been on WISP in a number of years, probably more than a decade. And on the last day of YSP, he called up and I got to interview him for like 30 minutes on the air, which was pretty neat. And it was neat to be the last person on the air there before I was unemployed or whatever. But I guess I don't think of one as a favorite yet.
What's the kind of thing where I notoriously, or at least between me and you, was Angelo's worst guest of all time. And because I don't know how to do radio versus podcast, there's different answers that you should give on a podcast versus on the radio, right?
Yeah.
What are the kinds of things that you say sometimes and you're like, that's actually a podcast answer and I'm doing the podcast on the radio?
Dude, luckily, there was one the other day. It's not a podcast answer, but it shows the difference between it, in that we were talking about Kyle Schwarber. First of all, mostly it's when I'm talking about the Sixers.
Sure, yeah, I figured that was the answer.
And the NBA, because not only do I feel you can feel losing the listeners, I can feel myself losing Jack and Ike, and they are my co-hosts. They're listening to me, but they're starting to like disengage as I'm explaining something that is cap related, or why Grimes is just going to be back. There was one the other day where I was saying that I don't think a DH should win MVP. I just don't. I didn't think Ohtani should win it. I don't think Schwarber should win it. So we were doing a thing where I kind of want Schwarber to win, but I don't believe that he should because he's a DH. And we're going through a thing where people were like, well, what if he's a bad fielder? And I said, but a bad fielder provides value because then you don't need a fielder at that position and you can go get a DH. So even a bad fielder has more value than somebody who doesn't play the field at all. And that...
I might not agree with that.
Well, that said, even the concept was more podcasty. We could debate that here, whereas like on the radio, it's just it's not that the radio listeners aren't smart enough. That's not what it is. It's just that they're in and out and they're not consuming it the way that they are consuming a hyper specific podcast that they already know the topic of.
Sure.
What's something that people don't understand about your job?
The top one is that the goal is not to like make people mad. Like the goal is to debate is a goal, but like to people, I think people think that the teams being bad makes our ratings go up, like because then we can fight about it. It is not true. Team being interesting is helpful for us. The thing that makes people listen the most is when the teams are good. It's just when the teams are really, really good, there's less to talk about. So more people are listening, but you feel like you're doing a worse show because all you're doing is talking about how good everything is, which is fine for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or a half an hour or an hour once a week. Is very difficult to do for 4 hours. So the optimal team is a team that is good but has ups and downs. Last year's Eagles team was actually pretty good because they were good. They won every game, but there was the change in the offense. There was the 2-2. There was Sirianni yelling at the fans after the Browns game. There was the AJ, Jalen, Brandon Graham thing. Like we had lots of different things to talk about, even though the team was generally pretty good.
I was going to ask another question, but now that you're bringing that up, one of the things that frustrates me the most about sports media is when, and we're a part of it, I guess, in our own little niche way, but is when like the reporters or the commentators, whatever, bias about like, I have to fill out content. I have to fill time. We need something to talk about. And that colors the way that they analyze a situation.
Could you give me a general
right here
example? Yeah.
Me and John Finger got in a very long email argument in 2012, I guess, or whatever.
R.I.P. John Finger, who I don't think is dead. No, I just haven't heard
I was
from
like,
him in a
fuck,
while.
dude,
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah.
Okay.
If he is dead, God bless him and his family, but I
Jesus.
don't. I never heard of him die.
But it was like he was shitting. It must have been 2013 then. It was early. It was hinky because it was him talking about writing a column or something for CSN Philly of like, here's why what they're doing is stupid, basically. And we started. I was tweeting about it probably, and then we started emailing about it, whatever. And he basically was like, "Yeah, my job is more interesting when they make the playoffs, or when they like, even if they're only gonna, if they go 40-42 and they sneak into the 8th seed, like that is, I'm able to write about more interesting stuff."
Yeah.
And I understand that on one level, but I thought it was very dishonest, and I think a lot of people do. It's not just calling out John, who I hope is not dead. I think it's dishonest to then package your opinion in, well, what makes my job easier?
Oh yeah,
I want
agree.
that to happen.
Yeah, I guess I just agree. I think like there's a difference between what I am privately hoping for to make the show good and what I am, I guess, publicly angling for, or my opinion being. I like think there should be no need ever for you to construct an opinion you don't believe simply for content or for the show or for what you hope happens. I think what you should do is search for your opinions that are most interesting instead of the opinions that are opinions that everybody shares. You can say them, but they're certainly not compelling. So I think there are moments where I've sat at home and watched a team and been like, well, this would be great for the show. It might not be great for the team, but it's great for the show or whatever. But I would never come out and say that that's what I hope happens simply so it's easier for me for content. Like,
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that, but
yeah,
I wanted to
yeah.
get it off.
But by the way, like that doesn't mean that everybody's like that or whatever. It does like sort of change your watching a team and having to generate content on it for a certain amount every day. It does change how you look at sports.
For sure. I mean,
yeah.
It is because it is your job. And
Yeah.
I talked to John Gonzalez about this all the time. But like, it is, sports are weird because nobody's watching any of the shows that I work on and going like, well, what's an example? I mean, there's the fact that there's rooting interests in the businesses that you're covering, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess some people have rooting interests in other businesses or whatever, if it's fields they care about. I don't.
But not like sports.
But not
There's
like
nothing
sports.
like sports. Yeah.
And so it's like, if you're covering a team, like my preference for last season for the Sixers was that they had a very boring 50-32 season.
Sure. Yeah.
Nothing went wrong ever, and it was just smooth sailing and boring. But I think some people, I think, want, you would in our position or in sports media or whatever, would want the, like, give me something juicy to talk about. Give me the Brandon Graham thing for the Eagles. Give me like the locker room Eric Gordon leak, because then it's like that's content I can make up. So anyway,
Yeah.
I know you're not like that, so I don't know who I'm talking to or why.
No. I do think it is tricky to do what we do because people feel the way that they feel. And so, like, you get this thing where because people think emotionally about it, they think that your opinion is like, Hurts is the one we fight about all the time, right?
Yeah.
I think Hurts is good. I just don't think he's as good as many Eagles fans do right now. People think that I think that because I hate him or because I'm like making that. I would rather they not be mad at me for how I feel. But like, that is the split sometimes, is that I think sometimes you have to be conscious of how much you're expressing an opinion that might make people mad at the wrong time. You know what I mean? Like, I think that is something you have to measure as well,
Are you at your end goal here in your career with just like working on this show and making it as good as possible? Or are there further aspirations down the road? Like, obviously going to New York, getting a VP job seemed like a very big leap. And then to come back to Philly, like, where is your mind with that?
I would love if this was fulfilling and I could do it until I retired. I guess what I've sort of let go of very early was I always just wanted to be music director at WISP, and I was music director at WISP when I was like 25 or 24, and I was making $38,000 or something, and I was like, well, this is not really the job I thought it was going to be. It was fun, but it wasn't. So I guess I just sort of will take it as it comes at this point, because I can't plan on what the next 10 years or 15 years would be like. So I don't know. I do know that the decision to come back and do this was the first time I had ever made a decision based on my personal happiness, rather than continuing to achieve and get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because that is the problem. When you start to achieve in that way, you feel like the only way that you're growing is by doing more. So I'm glad I did the WFAN job, and I was honored to do it. And I had a lot of fun with them. And like, I thought we had some great moments and good relationships forever, all that stuff. But it was sort of the moment that I realized that I had decided, before I decided to come back into this job, probably a year before my contract was over, I was like, once my contract is over, I can't do this anymore. I'm too tired. But then I started thinking about, well, what am I going to do? Some other job that's just like this and maybe a little bit bigger, that pays me more money, that makes me just as fucking burnout as I was before. So I think my only goal is to be fulfilled and happy and not burn out, because that was I would say I was happy working there, but I've never been as burnt out as I was toward the end of working there.
I don't like talking to randoms about sports.
Yes.
That is a big part of your job, to not only do that, but to do that live on air, where, like, if you are very shitty to them, the way that I probably would be, people are going to think that you're a prick.
Yeah.
How do you do with callers, more than like practically, because obviously like do it, you have to do a serviceable job, but like more like mentally, do you have to like center yourself before every call so you don't act so dismissive to them that people don't want to call anymore?
Yeah, I think you put yourself in a different mindset when you're doing it, and just understand. I think this will sound like I'm pandering, but I'm not. There's a general respect for the fact that they want to engage with us that I have as a base, that I think doing the Ricky was like a good intro for, is that at the beginning of doing the Ricky, when we started getting popular, and I would see people in public and they would just want to talk to me about the Sixers, I'd be like, oh, Jesus Christ, I don't want to talk about the Sixers anymore. But then I would realize that this is meaningful and I appreciate that. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is like, I guess it's just a show. It's not that it's not real, but it is a performance. And I think I have to realize that the goal is to go back and forth. There have been moments where I've just lost it. Like where I've just...
What's the worst one?
Well, I've screamed at callers. But when I say lost it, I mean like just at my wit's end. I think there was a point last week or 2 weeks ago. I started saying that all Eagles fans had Super Bowl-itis. Because anytime I would introduce any sort of concern that anybody had, people would be like, yeah, but they just won the Super Bowl. So whatever they did was right. And I was just like, fuck.
But
and
it's not only that they won the Super Bowl, it's that they beat the Chiefs by so much.
Yes,
like,
they did.
It'll change after week 1.
Yeah,
but
well, that's what I said. So when there's this moment where with the Jalen thing, I just don't want to argue about it anymore. And there's always a point at which I let them go on and say how good they are. They're talking to Ike. And then they'll go, he's a better thrower than Burrow too. And I'll be like, all right, no, we're not doing this anymore. And there was one back and forth where I just hung up the phone and I just looked at Ike and I said, I can't do this anymore. I said, the Cowboys game has to happen. We need the Cowboys game. We need the opening game to have like this new conversation. And then
is that your least favorite? Like of the topics you're talking about, you mentioned McNabb. Like what is your least favorite? Like, we got to fill time. Nothing's going on. All right, let's pull from the old file of rile people up.
So we don't. So what we try to do is when we get to that point, that's when we do something creative,
like a game or something
like a game, or like Jack, my co-host, is having this like best of 5 athletic challenge versus the morning show host. And we'll have that to talk about. That'll be funny. I'll come in. Actually, the other day we did something stupid. It was just that, so the preseason games used to be a big deal, but the starters don't play anymore and the Eagles just won the Super Bowl. So it's hard to talk about them before they happen. Mm-hmm. So the day of the show, Jack and I are known as not being Jalen believers or whatever. And the show was the day of his birthday. And he said, what if we just come in and say, it's Jalen Appreciation Day. Give us your favorite thing about Jalen. And that way, when they call up and say he just wins, like I can laugh at them and we can go, and then we can do the other stuff we want to do, but we don't have to do some made up sort of like, did Donovan throw up in the Super Bowl sort of thing. So I think we try to fill the time with goofiness as opposed to filling it with, rage bait. I guess is the other thing.
All right, it's did Donovan throw up in the Super Bowl day? Call in, give us your favorite puke shape.
There was one day where Ike was off. I was on with Jack, and it was the first time Reese Hoskins had come back or something, I think. And I said, they're going to give him a standing ovation. And Jack said, no, they're not. And I said, if he hits a fucking home run, they'll give him a standing ovation. Yeah. And he said, no chance. And he goes, if that happens, I will quit my job. Hoskins hits a home run. They fucking give him an ovation. So then the next day was, does Jack have to quit or not? And of course, Jack was not going to quit, but we turned it into Jack hates Eagles chants at Phillies games. So we made him go to a Phillies game, do 10 Eagles chants in separate places by himself, try to start one. And then so we try to fill it with that instead of rage bait.
Do you ever we do a podcast, so I know the answer to this. Yeah. But like sometimes when I'm doing the ads, I feel like I'm doing an impression of someone doing the ads.
Yes.
And like if I was, I'm friends with like Colleen Wolfe, and so like Colleen doing like hosting duties at NFL Network or whatever, like those kinds of, there's a voice that you do, like a broadcasting voice kind of thing. And I think it happens a lot more in like play-by-play. Yes. Where someone's like, this is my regular voice, and then here I am talking about whatever. And do you feel like you ever did that or do that on the radio?
I don't do it now. I just talk. I project more. But like radio, you need a little more energy than podcast does, just in the momentum of it. There's like a little more momentum, but I stand for both just so I sound a certain way. But I don't think I sound any different on the radio. Now, if you listen to my beginning, like when I was just a music DJ, the first 5 years of that was a nightmare. Like
Give me a taste. Give me a sample.
Okay,
Korn is gonna come on, and then we're gonna go from Korn to Linkin Park.
So how about this? I'll
Just,
describe
read me
it
in.
rather
Read
than
me in.
do
We're
it.
coming back from the break. Come on.
It is a super cool.
I want to hear it. I want to hear you do it.
I haven't done it in 20 years.
We're an hour and 15 into this podcast. You can let's take it for a spin. Take the old baby for a spin.
I don't know if I have it anymore.
Wow.
I don't know if I have. I'm sorry. I will do it the next pod. Let me prepare it.
Okay. I have other questions, but
we've been going for a while.
WIP still have those tasty cakes around?
We do. Tasty Cake Studios. In fact, the rack is filled, I think, every Wednesday. That's one of my favorite things is, so we have 5 stations there, but on the other side of our floor is corporate. And there's no reason for the corporate people to be on our side. But we see them walking over for the Tasty Cakes, and they have just the slightest bit of embarrassment.
Sure.
And Ike will always go, "It's okay. Take them. They fill them every week. Don't feel embarrassed. Here's the ones that are good."
That's nice, man.
Yeah.
I have a good last question.
Yes.
I think you'll like it.
Okay.
You've spent so much of your life talking into a microphone.
Yeah.
If you found out that microphones cause some sort of disease or syndrome, what do you do?
I don't know that I would have any other options. I think I would just have
keep
to fucking
going.
Stick with it. Yeah.
You have the syndrome.
Yeah. I think I'd be done. I would just, you know how some people are like, well, I've been smoking since I was 12 and I'm 58. It's sort of where I would be.
This is the equivalent of smoking to our personalities and bodily health.
There it is. The Jobs Pod.
There it is.
I am a union guy again, by the way.
I love that.
I'm a SAG-AFTRA guy now. Yeah.
Oh, it's SAG-AFTRA? That's so interesting.
Yeah. It was just after and then merged. So it is SAG-AFTRA. So I'm a SAG-AFTRA guy now.
Just in a podcast.
What's the local?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
What's that?
What's the local?
Well, it's each station has a shop. So it is just the SAG-AFTRA of Philadelphia, WIP or whatever. There's not like a number or whatever, as far as I know.
Did you listen to Pablo's latest podcast about the NFLPA stuff?
Yes, I've been following it. And by the way, we had Pablo. I think we were the only local radio station in the country. You want to talk about a podcast that is very podcast, or a topic that's very podcasty? Yeah. It's that one.
Yeah.
But we had Pablo on the radio show to talk about it as well. So yes.
Because the person that he was
is
SAG-AFTRA.
Yeah.
Explain it. You'll do a better job of explaining it than I would.
So the new person who is the interim NFLPA executive director. Mm-hmm. By the way, if you haven't listened to this whole Pablo saga, and it's Pablo and Mike Florio, the investigating that they did was incredible. And talking about it with Ike was interesting because Ike's a former player, you know. And I say, can you imagine if you found out that your fucking union sold you out like this for whether it's the other executive director who was also on the executive board of a company that was one of the Lloyd Howell also worked for a company that is one of the few hedge funds that could invest in NFL teams now.
Yes.
They didn't know about that. They didn't know about who they were voting on. Like, just the number of things was outrageous. But the guy who was the acting executive director was the other finalist when they hired Lloyd Howell. He was a former SAG-AFTRA executive director who I guess, so I was not part of SAG-AFTRA at the time, who I guess got in trouble for a sex thing. Is that for covering up a sex thing or something? So it seems as if they have gone from one guy who has other interests to another guy.
I thought he said something else about a similar thing where he was like cozy up with the studios.
You're right. Yes. It was maybe it wasn't a sex thing. He was known as a guy. Fuck. I don't remember it.
Here
You
it is.
looking it up?
Yeah, I'm on Mike Florio from 2 days ago. The NFLPA is downplaying the 2015 SAG-AFTRA controversy involving new head David White. In 2015, Deadline.com, which is like an industry, my business stuff, reports that White recently misled the union's board of directors about the union's attempt to whitewash an explosive documentary about the sexual abuse of child actors in Hollywood.
Yes, that's
and
what it was.
misled the board about the union's threat to sue her and the film's producers. SAG had threatened to sue her unless she removed all references to the union from the film. This is getting messier than I thought it was, but
Yeah.
it's interesting to hire another guy that had like I'm misleading the board in a position of power type thing. It feels odd for them to go back to that well, since that is what happened with the two
Lloyd
guys
Howell.
that just stepped down.
Yeah, and the former player who stepped down,
JC Treader, yeah.
JC Treader, yeah. Who, by the way, like there was some quid pro quo with him as well. Like, one of the biggest problems with the NFL union is that they're easy to break and they're not united, and like they're not a very together union because their careers are so short.
So short, dude. And they have to be together. That's like that is the time to be. I mean, look, 2023, the Writers Guild was on strike for 5 months, which means nobody could work. And then SAG-AFTRA joined us a few months later, and we're on strike for I think they were on strike for about 3 or 4. And like you get so there's so much solidarity in that. When you're walking the picket lines with people every day, that you're hearing their stories of how they were fucked over in these ways or whatever, or just like, hey, they can't make shit without us,
right?
And you feel so, and just like I think football, the same thing. It's like they can't. We are the reason why they make $2 billion a month. Like if you replaced us with worse players, people would watch less, significantly less.
Don't you think one of the interesting dynamics in sports unions is that in many unions, it is the rank and file that are fighting, whereas in sports unions, a lot of times it is the most well-paid players that are like the player representatives, which I think creates some sort of friction between what the union is fighting for in CBAs versus what most of the players would benefit from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think my impression, and I only know it on my end, is like there's a ton of union issues that we had that we like try to go to the studios with, to be like, here are the issues that are like problems for us, and some of them are the issues that affect more the like senior people, because the showrunners, our bosses, are in the same union as us. Patrick Mahomes is not the boss of the Chiefs. I mean, he kind of functionally is, but he's not the boss of like the defensive lineman.
Yes.
Whereas like every boss I've ever had
is in
as a
your
writer
union.
is also in the guild. So it's tricky there. And so sometimes when you're like, hey, that we should have something that like prevents the bosses from doing this, and it's like, well, they're here also. They're sitting over there. So it's a weird thing sometimes. But yeah, I mean, like if I had found out that someone at the Writers Guild in like the negotiating committee or something, which I love and appreciate very much, if I'd found out that they were like on the take from the studios, like I would lose my mind.
Oh my God.
I would go crazy. It would be like that would just be the ultimate betrayal. And I feel like football players who are a lot bigger and stronger and more threatening than me are probably feeling the same thing. Like that's so fucked up that they would do this, and then for Pablo and Mike Florio to like release it and stuff. It's like,
there was an investigation that showed that the owners were attempting to collude, and they didn't show the players that happened. Yeah. Like essentially the ruling was that they didn't charge them. Like he didn't find in the players' favor because the owners didn't listen to the people who told them to collude. Like, is that And they hid that from him just because some of the info would embarrass JC Treader. Like, it is fucking psychotic what happened there. But
anyway,
the good
listen to Pablo's pods. Very good.
listen to Pablo's pod. Yeah. And congratulations to Pablo for his 7-figure deal from the New York Times, which we turned down, of course.
We did turn that down.
we
They
did turn
they
down
wanted us to do the same thing. They just wanted us to do more color star reporting.
Yeah. All right. There it is. Jobs pod.
Jobs pod done. Now they know.
Yep. Back to regular pod. All right. We will talk to you during the week. Maybe something will happen. Maybe it won't. You never know. You down with TTP?
CJ?
Yeah, Lick face.